Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Woody Allen retrospective right here on PlanetTyro.com. I'm here at the Planet Tyro studios to continue the retrospective with my buddy Simon Rad, the master of podcasting.
I've graduated to master now. Damn,
my mistake. I meant to say the master of arseholing.
Exactly. I was like, last week I was just an asshole. Now I'm suddenly the master of all of podcasting.
Master of arseholes. That's my boy Simon Rad here. I've been enjoying his company because we've been doing the last couple of recordings in studio.
That's a one-sided relationship, by the way.
Okay, thank you. Getting that perfect mic quality. Thanks for interrupting as always. Guys, again, if you were following the retrospective, we do appreciate it. We've got a whole playlist of Woody Allen movies. We're definitely getting to the 50 episode mark with these discussions. Last time we spoke about that movie Simon seemed to have loved, and he seemed to be like the only one in the world. It was fine. It was 2009's Whatever Works with Larry David. Curb Your Enthusiasm is a great show, and that movie is kind of an extension of that series, so it worked out for him. Guys, if you want to check that out again, YouTube, top right hand corner on the podcast. If you're listening to audio only, I'll put a link in the description. We're always moving forward because we're actually about to start a new decade. But before we get started, guys, all of these discussions are spoiler discussions. You're listening to two casual moviegoers that have been doing this Woody Allen retrospective. At the time of this recording, Woody Allen is under fire once again, as he always is. And, you know, I constantly get emails about how hard is it to be a Woody Allen fan, to support this guy in this very disparaging time in Hollywood with the whole Me Too movement and all this stuff. And you know, we might get into some of that later, but let's just move on to the next movie, guys. I've read your emails. Believe me, it is hard being a Woody Allen fan, but we're going to push on because we're nearly to the end and we're not going to give up, guys. So,
we almost made it.
Without getting a death threat, but we better not push our luck. So, Simon, if you don't mind, tell us what this next movie is about when we're starting the final decade till we get to really recent Woody Allen.
Well, this movie is about the future. More specifically, seeing into the future. The year is 2010, and the movie's called You Will Meet a Tall, Dark Stranger, as a fortune teller will tell you.
I will? Will I?
Well, maybe yes. Maybe you just look in the mirror and see a tall, dark motherfucker staring right back at you.
I was about to make a black joke myself that, you know,
yeah,
I don't really want to
exactly. It's like a premonition of black people finally working with Woody Allen. There's Chiwetel Ejiofor coming back, but no. Ironically,
he doesn't have a black person. That would have been a bit too on the nose.
I don't even. Well, it's not a comedy. See, that's the thing. It tries to be funny and have dark, humorous moments, but This is not a comedy. And before you say it, it's not even a romantic film. Despite what you think from the title, that, will somebody meet up with like a handsome stranger just because they went to the fortune teller and not sure if this is fate or just a coincidence? This is like a old script written for Mia Farrow like Alice. No, not really. It's more about the fact that life sucks because people suck. And that's the short summary of the film. What we have here is another, I don't want to use the word typical, but another classic Woody Allen gap movie that he does in between great films, where he kind of just takes a step back and just goes on a mini rant.
You can call it a gap movie, but a lot of people feel like most of the time in his career he spins his wheels every decade, and again after Vicky Cristina Barcelona he's still spinning his wheels for a classic, and this obviously didn't make people very happy. But continue, Sammy.
We're almost done, because the summary is going to be short.
Sure.
Once again, we have an excellently casted movie. We have Josh Brolin and Naomi Watts in two leading roles, who are just a couple in London. Josh Brolin plays, I guess, an American guy because he didn't want to do a British accent. He worked with Woody Allen before in a very similar movie in terms of tone. Do you remember Melinda?
Antonio Banderas was in that?
No. Josh Brolin, dumbass.
Oh, Josh Brolin, my bad.
See, you're predicting the future now. No. Josh Brolin was a surprise in that, and he was actually quite fun because he was sort of a cocky a-hole, and he had to.
I don't remember who he was in that movie. Was he on the good side?
He was the rich dude that suddenly Melinda was going out with in the weird Will Ferrell version of the story.
Oh yeah, it's a kind of a small role, but yeah,
it was a blink you miss it cameo, but he was fun.
Sure.
And unfortunately, he's back, and it's unfortunate for him because he's a one-note slob, another struggling writer.
How dare you speak about Thanos in that way?
He's Thanos. He's Cable. What's he not?
He's getting paid.
Yeah, he's getting paid. Yeah, exactly. He can't take it. But this was 8 years ago now, 7 years ago. And at this point, he was just mostly fat. Because we have a chubby Josh Brolin as this washed-up writer who had one promising book, but everything else flopped since then. And he's kind of in a writer's crisis. So he's not even working. He quit his job as a limo driver. And he's supported by Naomi Watts, his wife, and Naomi Watts' mother, played by Gemma Jones. And this is where the movie opens up. So this is another ensemble cast. So we're not just going to focus on Josh Brolin and Naomi Watts, but Gemma Jones also has her storyline. Because her and Anthony Hopkins, who's probably the biggest surprise next to, as you preluded, Antonio Banderas in this film.
Another Marvel alumni. Isn't he the father of 4?
Yeah, actually, Marvel was already kicking ass at this point, or at least getting there.
They were getting there, yeah.
Yeah, with the Iron Man movies, Thor, so... I guess Anthony Hopkins with his agent felt like
I'm actually having fun pointing at all the Marvel casts as we go along.
Oh yeah,
it happens more and more.
They grabbed everybody.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for Antonio Banderas to get his role in that universe.
A bit old for roles. He would have.
He's a lot of fun though.
Yeah.
But just to summarize quick. So yeah, the cast opens up and a narrator walks us through where everybody is currently heading in their lives. So,
same narrator from Vicky Cristina Barcelona, I believe. I'll check, but he sounds exactly the same. And again, I like this narrator, I really do. Again, I said it in that review. Narration is very tricky to put in the movie. A lot of people don't appreciate it. And in this movie, he doesn't even narrate a lot at all. I think he only begins and ends it.
Yeah.
So it was fine. It was fine.
It helps though. It helps.
It does.
Tie the storylines together. So basically, Anthony Hopkins used to be married to Naomi Watts' mom, but had a midlife crisis. So got a divorce. And started spending money hand over fist, and now he's trying to live the single life, but it's kind of miserable because
I think he's meant to be the comedy element. Just one of his one's meant to be the ironic. What would you call it? End life crisis.
I told you so. This is basically the "I told you so" storyline where everybody sees where it's going, but
Yeah, but just watching him try to be hip and try to. I guess this is meant to be the funny part of the movie. And for Anthony Hopkins, let's be honest, he's a very serious actor. For him to take this role, which Woody Allen himself said he's surprised that he even got Anthony Hopkins. For him to take this comedic, which starts off comedic role, was surprising. I was surprised.
I think at this point in time, he just wanted to do more dynamic stuff. Yeah, and he's very active in this movie. He goes to the gym. He's like constantly talking about how, look how good I'm. I'm in such good shape. Feel my muscles.
It's pretty comical to see him do it. It isn't funny, but it's comical. So I don't mean to keep interrupting you, but I just love these things.
It's fine. It's fine. We're almost done. And as you said, we have Antonio Banderas.
Puss in Boots, yeah.
Yeah, the man himself, Zorro. One of my favorite actors. That guy's great.
He's fucking amazing. I love him.
And he's completely underused.
He is.
He's some gallery owner guy that Naomi Watts works for. And she kind of has a thing for him because he's rich and he's fucking Antonio Banderas. But he doesn't get the same kind of treatment as Javier Bardem. He has no memorable dialogue. He's just mostly, Antonio, just do your thing. So he's just improving.
He doesn't even do his thing. He really doesn't. I mean,
he's toned down, but he has to work for any kind of personality that he has in this character. He has to inject all of it.
Sure.
Yeah, and outside of that, I guess we can also mention Frida Pinto, who's of course is the beautiful young actress, the pride of Britain from Slumdog Millionaire.
Why can't I find a British girl like this? My God.
Why can I? You, me both.
I need to edit that out for you, son.
Yeah, exactly. Somebody gentle, but
he's joking, Raven.
Anyway, so she's kind of like Josh Brolin's, I guess,
fantasy muse.
Flame fantasy muse. The girl next door, literally, or across the street.
Yeah, through the window.
Yeah, that he sees through the window. And honestly, guys, at this point, if you've seen any of Woody Allen's movies from the 80s, you know where this is going. It's another depressing story about how people are idiots and they do stupid things. They cheat on each other. They mess up. It's not before long that Anthony Hopkins gets hooked up with some escort, and then that escort turns out to be a bit of a dumbass, but he falls madly in love with her and declares that he's going to marry her and have children again in his age. Naomi Watts' mother gets basically addicted to going to a fortune teller. That's the only thing that gives her comfort and keeps her from being suicidal because she's all alone.
Yeah.
So now she's all spiritual, constantly talking about how she lived in a previous life and she was probably somebody important, and oh, the future's looking so bright, and you should do this, and you should do that, and Josh Brolin's never going to make it as a writer. He should just give up. So basically, the fortune teller is just reaffirming everything she already thought to begin with. She's just telling her what she wants to hear.
She's just trying to make her happy by feeding her bullshit. Yeah. And Simon, let me cut in here, because honestly, I feel like I'm making you do a lot of work for a movie that I'm going to admit is really nothing special. Not only is it nothing special, it is one of the most hated Woody Allen movies. Again, this is what, just like the last movie, Whatever Works, if you go on Wikipedia and if you go on any list, any Woody Allen list movies from best to worst, this is in the bottom 3. This, Whatever Works, and To Run With Love, which we'll get to later, are very despised movies. And let me tell you something, man, this is another movie that is really not a theatrical experience. You're really not getting nothing from this movie. Watch it in the cinema. And I just feel like from his last movie, he's in this zone where he wants to tell a certain type of story. I don't know if he wants to tell these curmudgeon stories about silly people. But again, this movie, Woody has, and it's clear what he's doing with this movie. And the thing I like about this movie is he's doing something that Simon likes a lot, which is he's showing how the idiocy and the real size of people and getting their comeuppance. But by the end of this movie, a lot of the reviews I read, people were upset that half of the storylines don't end. Like, a lot of these people, you don't even find out. By the end, it looks like most of the characters are having things did not turn out their way at all. Like, a lot of their shit they thought was building to something good, nearly all of them. The only one that ends up having a good ending is the foolish, stupid person who believes in tarot telling. And that's usually the anti of what Woody Allen's doing. Usually when you watch a Woody Allen movie, you know, the chickens come home to roost at the end and you get a realistic ending. But in this movie, everyone that tried to do something or was on a realistic way that it might have worked out for, actually saying that it did work out the way Woody Allen wants, because everyone kind of ends up in a worse ending scenario, except for the one who's the most unrealistic, the foolish woman. She's the only one that ends up happy. And I came away from the movie just thinking, I was just
let me cut in here, because I think if this movie doesn't make you appreciate interiors, nothing will, because this is why Interiors is such a masterpiece of a film.
Interiors is there's no doubt Interiors is a better movie than this. I'm not going to deny you on that.
It manages to tell a very serious, tragic tale in the appropriate fashion, where the tone and the cinematography and the whole movie just has a look and feel that grabs you in, and the performance is very much supported, and you actually feel for the characters. And even though that movie goes way darker than this one, the build-up is there. So in terms of the climactic moments, that movie's very well structured, despite the slow pace, and it's very dialogue heavy, obviously. But it's just interesting to watch, and you feel for the characters, and you really vibe with the tone of the film. Here, I think the tone is a mess. The best compliment I can give for the film, that Woody Allen is a terrific writer at this point. He's been doing it for 4 decades. He can really write people, period. They sound real, they act real. When the couple has an argument, and then when you see what she's doing with her boss, when obviously Josh Brolin's not around, and when Josh Brolin is hanging out with the neighbor, or when he's at the poker game, or the different things he's feeling or experiencing, how that affects his relationship, sometimes without even his own knowledge, and then the conversations come out of it. It all feels very natural. And it's actually quite interesting to see that, because sometimes when you're in a relationship, you argue, but you don't actually argue about what you say you're arguing. Is always an underlining layer of frustration or issues that you carry over throughout the relationship, and they try to come back to the surface. Hence the reason there's always a conflict. And then when you throw the mother in, who just comes out of nowhere uninvited because she's lonely, there's tension, and Josh Brolin hates her and only wants to try to support her, and then she just keeps dropping these, one-liners about, well, the fortune teller said this, the fortune teller said that, and it is real and it's well written. It's just every character is an asshole, and I don't know how else to put it. That's kind of like the point, that everybody's flawed, nobody's perfect. You can see where everyone is coming from and what they're aspiring to do or to achieve, and why life gets in the way, and their failure is very natural, their flaws are very human. But at the same time, there's nothing there to really entertain you or keep you interested.
You don't give a shit about these characters. I don't care about none of them.
And again, because Antonio Banderas is one of the most fun people in the film, despite he's not doing anything.
No.
And then he's not even in it that much. And his storyline, again, is just build up for a letdown. That's the whole...
He doesn't have one.
Yeah. He's just a plot device. The whole point of the movie is...
Which is unused completely.
Yeah.
Not even in the dream... You know, it would have... Even if the movie had the dream sequence where she fantasized and he had a moment to show what he would do, they didn't even did that. So he really is a complete waste in this movie. Complete waste.
Yeah. The only thing he's good for is to really make you woke to the fact that apparently galleries make a lot of freaking money because he's bowling. He's driving like a sports car. Like,
well, I know a lot of people that are making money off galleries. That's one of the things, you know, London arty farty. It's films. I've seen about 3 films about London art. It's even documentaries. Look at Banksy. He makes a shit ton of money. He's a rich, you know, he's a street artist. But you know, Jesus Christ, the art scene in London,
just crazy. But I said like I'm not sure what Woody was trying to do, and I'm not sure if even he was sure what he was trying to do, because there's no point to a lot of it. It's not really funny. It's not really engaging. It is real. It is well written, like I mentioned several times before. But outside of the obvious, well, you all are assholes. You all behave badly from several perspectives. You know, Josh Brolin, you understand where he's coming from with his frustrations, with his novel, getting rejected, sending off the novel, not hearing anything, being stuck between a rock and a hard place. But at the same time, he's a freeloader. He doesn't have a job. He makes no money. He's living off of his girlfriend and her mom. So when the mom comes over and talks smack to him, he can't really say shit. So him being all upset, like, I need space, I need this. I'm like, then create it for yourself. Get a job, get a career. Do something about it. You know, don't just whine.
Out of everyone in the movie, do you think, I know we all agree that none of these mini stories are any good mini plots, but do you think his plot could have been the movie itself? But even if it was, I know it would have been very interesting, but...
No, because he has, like, I would say his match point moment.
Exactly.
Where things turn dark, and I guess we can talk about it a little, because it's not that exciting. Woody
doesn't end it. You don't know how it ends.
I mean... I think it's part of the idea behind the movie that you know how it's going to end, because it's not supposed to go down well.
Yeah.
We can discuss it because it's not exciting. Woody doesn't turn this film into a crime film.
No, go and say what
he did in the past.
Yeah.
It's just as him and his wife get closer and closer to divorce, and he's spending more time with Frida Pinto, his book gets finally rejected. He's washed up. He's barely, alive. He's like suicidal almost. And then his friend, who also written a book, and apparently the book's really good,
and confided in him about the book, mysteriously, ironically, ends up in an accident, which leads into a very convenient opportunity for him to steal the book, publish it as his own, and reap all the benefits of life.
Which reminded me of that movie where I gotta give credit to Woody.Maybe they ripped them off a bit here. You remember that movie with Bradley Cooper called
I love that movie. With Zoe Saldana.
Zoe Saldana.
The reader, the writer.
No, it was Words. I think it was called
Words.
Words.
That's it. The Words. Yeah,
and
exactly.
That was one of those movies that got greenlit because of Christopher Nolan. When he did Inception with the layers.
He had something to do with that movie.
No. But at that time, if you did anything even remotely resembling Inception in terms of a pitch, you could get a green light. Like when he said, oh yeah, this is a story and there's multiple layers. So you have the writer, then you have the book.
You just made this movie worse, because that one part of the movie, the Josh Brolin part, that's exactly how you make that part into a very compelling movie.
But I'm not sure, maybe they got the idea from Woody, so he's still...
Oh, that was made after this, I think.
Yeah, it was made after this
one.
Well,
then they learned from Woody.
But...
Thanks for bringing it up, actually. I love that
movie.
Yeah,
that's what it reminded me of. But again... then of course it turns out there was a mix-up and Josh Brolin got the information wrong. So out of the guys who died, the novelist is the guy in a coma, which is the exact opposite of what he was led to believe.
And it sounds like he's going to come out of it.
Yeah, so he just basically walks off screen from the hospital looking like, okay, my life is over. Which I'm like, okay, I guess, whatever. I didn't care too much anyway.
What does this? Black Mirror does this shit all the time. It leads in like the most negative scenario with, I guess, actually didn't work. It's like a troll.
Yeah.
Which I liked about the movie. I like the fact this movie is a kind of troll, but putting this in perspective, if I went to the theater to see this movie, I'd have been very upset because, number one, you said this before I was recording, you look at the post of the movie, this looks like some kind of romance. There's no romance in this movie at all, except for Josh Brolin's part, which isn't even a romance. It's just very an optimistic, really weird subplot which is not going to go his way. And if the movie went to its final end, it would have been a very depressing movie. Hey, look, the movie's not very good. Let's just put it that way. And the biggest point of the movie, which I agree with you, is that I have no idea what Woody Allen trying to say with this movie. The only thing I can assume from it is like the title of the movie is called You'll Meet a Tall Dark Stranger. There's a fortune teller in the movie. The woman that, I don't know, who believes in her ignorance, who believes in this thing that isn't real. We all know Woody Allen's a realist and he doesn't believe in any of this shit. And at the end of the movie, her own daughter is but you fucking idiot, which is a humorous scene.
Because again, these are the parts of the movie that reflect good writing. How her daughter was fine with her going to this fortune teller and wasting money because it kept her away from annoying her, right?
Yeah.
But then she needs the money because her marriage has broken up, and guess what? Antonio Banderas actually has an affair with somebody, but not with her. It's her friend who's an aspiring artist. So now she's like, the last thing in my life is this dream of having my own gallery.
Yeah. She lost Antonio Banderas. She lost the loan. She lost it all.
And
she left her mom.
Yeah. And now she's like, I have this financial partner. I just need the money. So she goes to her mom to get the loan and get the money. And then all that comes back at her because her mom turns around and says, well, the fortune teller told me that the planets aren't aligned correctly, so I can't give you the money. So she actually screws herself by allowing her mom to be in this delusion for so long.
And throughout the movie, I know what the irony is. There's obvious irony. The irony is that she had every opportunity to kind of wean her mum off this thing, but she brought her into it. She kept on letting her mum get dragged in. Josh Brolin was like, you need to stop this, and she never did. At the very end, when she really needed it, this whole thing bit her in the arse in the worst possible way. And the last frame you see of her face is just a close-up of, just complete dismay that, what the fuck? I'm fucked. And, the last scene you see in the movie is her city mum talking to this guy she found who's another believer in the occult or
whatever the flavor of the week is. He believes in
he believes in bullshit.
Yeah, any form of bullshit. Yeah,
and that's what he ends the film. So I came away from this movie thinking that it was a troll. This is a realistic movie where the only person who has a happy ending is a person who believes in nonsense. And I was just like, look, man, it was fine enough to watch this movie at home in the retrospective, but if I spent money on this movie on its own, I'll be pissed off. Woody Allen kind of wasted his time with this movie. He wasted so much talent in this. Antonio Banderas is a complete waste. Anthony Hopkins, it was a good opportunity for him to do something slightly different, but in a bad movie, it's still a waste of time. Everyone else is forgettable. So again, I'm disappointed with the movie. Kind of disappointed with Woody Allen. People always say he's spinning his wheels. This is just one of the biggest filler movies he's ever made. And because of that, because it's so forgettable, that's what makes it the worst movie. It's not the most hard to watch movie. It's just, I don't come away with it being very memorable. It's just a big fucking troll with good actors that are wasted.
I mean, Anthony Hopkins' storyline, we saw it in Husbands and Wives. It's the same thing. Remember that? Where the guy gets a younger girl.
Woody Allen's character.
No. The husband who actually crawls back to his wife.
Oh, yeah.
With the yoga teacher, had that great scene where they have the big ass argument after the party.
But I thought Woody Allen was also seeing the young artist. What's her name?
Yeah, but
I know you
not part of a
more
midlife
appropriate
crisis.
To what you're saying.
Yeah.
More appropriate. Fair enough.
Yeah, and also Mighty Aphrodite. It was a similar type of character where she's kind of prude and an escort, but she's also, I guess, likable because she has a nice personality or whatever. So even that whole storyline just felt fabricated from previously used materials. Josh Brolin's character arc, again, just very, very much the same tone as Match Point and Cassandra's
you said, man,
Dream and
The
all
Words
that.
is a much better movie which executes that plotline in the best way, which I think you got, because I was thinking I didn't take away a lot from this film, but I took away, if you like the ones kind of the most meaty subplot, which is the Josh Brolin one, go and watch Words with Zoe Saldana, Bradley Cooper, and what's his name?
Jeremy Irons.
Jeremy Irons, yes, from a lot of movies. I was going to say Batman.
No, fuck that. we are not acknowledging he's not Alfred.
Let's say Lolita, which is a movie I love a lot.
That's fine. I'm down with that.
Yeah. So anyway, look, I don't want to waste any more time in this movie. A lot of people hate this movie. Again, you guys might not believe how could you spend 25 minutes on such a horrible movie? It's because
it's not genuinely bad because the acting is solid and like the writing is good, but you can only dedicate, I think, half of a story to this is reality, and then the other half has to be, and this was the point of the story. You know, you can't just say this is reality, and okay. It's like what's that movie? Anything Else?
Oh yeah.
Where it's just like, this is being single in New York in a boring relationship that doesn't end well, and you have to move away. The end. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I think of this. I think of Melinda and Anything Else, and I'm just like, Anything Else is on the high just because of the cinematography. But story-wise, these three movies are like definitely my three like worst so far. But again, guys, if you stay tuned, we're gonna do a best and worst of our own, and you know, we'll make that separate. But let's just wrap this up because honestly, I want to move on, guys. If you've seen this movie, let us know what you think in the comments down below. Again, Rotten Tomatoes IMDb score very low, one of the most despised Woody Allen movies, just because, as we said, Woody Allen doesn't have much to say. People just think conceptually all the bits that make the movie it's just a complete mess. After everything we said, I tend to agree. So I just want to leave it at that and say, Simon, thank you for joining me on this one, as always.
That's cool. I mean, I'm glad we're in the 2010s because there's some good stuff coming. I think Woody's getting recharged. I just think at this point in time, he really doesn't care. Like sometimes he's like I have a half-finished script, whatever, let's shoot, see what happens. And if not, we'll just call, I'll just say cut. And that's the end of the film. Done.
Again, a yearly director. Again, he's one of a kind for doing that, but this is what happens. Again, batting average on a whole, we just started a decade. This is the first dud. But if you guys know what's next, you might call it a rising phoenix. So stay tuned to that one, guys. Again, subscribe to the channel if you want to follow those discussions we got on the Woody Allen retrospective. Links in the description. YouTube Car Talk right in corner. Give us a like if you like the discussion, and we'll see you on the next recording.